It was a bitterly cold evening when the small, frail dog was discovered, chained to an old, rusty fence at the edge of an abandoned lot. Her body trembled with the freezing wind, and her eyes held a mixture of fear and hopelessness. She had been left there to die, forgotten, abandoned. But that wasn't the end of her story. It was just the beginning. Her name was Bella, and she wasn't alone. Beneath her, hidden in the cold dirt, were 3 tiny puppies, huddled close to her for warmth. They were barely old enough to open their eyes, and yet, the harsh world had already shown them its cruel side. Bella's body was weak from hunger and exhaustion, but her protective instinct burned stronger than ever. She licked her puppies' faces, desperately trying to keep them warm, trying to give them the comfort they so badly needed. Every inch of her being screamed for help, but there was no one around to hear her cry. As the cold night deepened, Bella's fate seemed sealed. The chance of survival was slim, and the world outside seemed indifferent to their suffering. Yet, something within her refused to give up. She wasn't just a dog trying to survive. She was a mother, and no force in this world could take that away from her. The bond she shared with her puppies was something pure, something the world couldn't break. But the path ahead was uncertain, filled with danger and uncertainty. Would Bella and her puppies find the help they desperately needed, or would the cold night swallow them whole? The journey that lay ahead would test not only their survival, but the resilience of the love that binds them. Bella's story was far from over, and the warmth of hope was closer than it seemed. But for now, in the heart of the night, all they had was each other, and that was enough to keep them fighting. As the night wore on, Bella's strength began to fade. The cold was unbearable, and her body was growing weaker by the minute. She could feel her energy draining, but her instinct as a mother was all that kept her going. Her puppies, still too young to understand the severity of the situation, whimpered softly, their tiny bodies shivering from the cold. Bella's heart ached with the overwhelming desire to protect them, to give them the warmth they so desperately needed. But she was powerless. Then, just as Bella felt she could go no further, a faint noise broke the silence of the night. A soft rustle, the sound of footsteps. Bella's ears perked up, and for the first time that evening, she dared to hope. Could it be? Could someone be out there, someone who could help? Her eyes darted to the shadowy figure emerging from the darkness. It was a young woman named Sarah, bundled in a thick coat, her breath visible in the frosty air. She had been walking home from her late shift when she noticed the faint whimpering sounds coming from the alley. Something inside her stirred. She followed the noise, and as she turned the corner, she saw Bella, chained, weak, and barely able to lift her head. The 3 tiny puppies huddled together beside her. Sarah's heart broke in an instant. The sight of the mother dog, her eyes filled with desperation, was too much to bear. She had always been an animal lover, and seeing Bella's suffering awakened a deep compassion within her. Sarah rushed forward, her hands trembling as she knelt beside the dog and her puppies. She whispered softly to Bella, trying to comfort her, but the dog was too weak to respond. The stakes were clear. Bella and her puppies were on the brink of death. Without immediate help, they would perish in the cold, forgotten by the world. But Sarah couldn't just walk away. She made a decision in that moment, not only to save Bella and her puppies, but to give them a chance at life, a chance they so richly deserved. But this was just the beginning. The road ahead would be fraught with challenges, and Sarah knew the emotional journey she was about to embark on would test her in ways she never expected. Would she be able to save them, or would the weight of the world prove too much for one person to bear? Sarah gently scooped up Bella, her body trembling with both the cold and the urgency of the situation. With one hand cradling the dog's frail body, she reached down to scoop up the tiny puppies, each one no bigger than her hand. They were shivering, their fragile little bodies fighting the bitter cold. Sarah's heart ached as she realized just how close they had been to losing their lives. There was no time to waste. She rushed to her car, her mind racing. The nearest animal shelter was miles away, and the temperature was dropping by the minute. As she started the engine, she glanced down at the puppies, their tiny bodies wriggling in her lap, and at Bella, who was weak, but still holding on. Sarah whispered softly to Bella, her voice cracking, "I won't let you go. I'll get you through this." But when they reached the shelter, things weren't as simple as Sarah had hoped. The cold had taken its toll on Bella's frail body. The staff rushed to examine her, but the reality of her condition hit Sarah like a punch to the gut. Bella was pale, her breathing labored, and her pulse weak. The puppies were still tiny, vulnerable, their hearts beating fast, their little bodies shivering with every movement. "We'll do everything we can," the shelter worker said, though her voice was filled with concern. "But we're not sure if she'll make it through the night." Sarah's stomach churned as she watched them work frantically to stabilize Bella. Her eyes stayed fixed on the mother dog, her protective instinct still so strong despite the physical exhaustion. She knew Bella wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for her puppies. And Sarah couldn't help but wonder, if Bella didn't survive, what would happen to them? She was the only thing keeping those tiny souls alive. The shelter workers hooked Bella up to oxygen, wrapped her in warm blankets, and administered fluids to try and save her. Sarah sat by Bella's side, holding her trembling paw, her heart racing in her chest. Every time Bella coughed or winced in pain, Sarah's stomach twisted in fear. This wasn't supposed to happen. Bella wasn't supposed to die. She couldn't die, not when she had fought so hard, not when her puppies were depending on her. The puppies, too, were in danger. They were so young, barely old enough to open their eyes, and without their mother's warmth, they could easily succumb to the cold or illness. But despite their tiny size, they seemed to possess a quiet strength, their little bodies pushing against each other as they tried to stay warm. Sarah would reach into their little box to comfort them, gently rubbing their backs, whispering soft words of encouragement. "You're not alone," she would tell them. "You're going to make it. We're going to make it." Days turned into a blur of sleepless nights and exhausting visits to the shelter. Sarah's heart soared with every small improvement. Bella's breathing grew steadier, her eyes sparkled a little more each day. But it wasn't all progress. One evening, as Sarah arrived, she was met with the grim news that Bella had developed pneumonia, a deadly complication from the freezing temperatures she had endured. The doctor explained that Bella needed round-the-clock care if she was going to survive. Sarah's hope wavered. She had never felt so helpless. Her frustration built up as the days dragged on. Bella's body fought hard, but it was clear she wasn't out of the woods yet. The shelter staff had to constantly monitor her oxygen levels and keep her hydrated. Bella had days where she seemed to improve, and then days where she regressed, leaving everyone unsure of her fate. Sarah spent hours sitting beside her, speaking softly, offering words of comfort, brushing her fur as Bella's eyes followed her every movement. It was in these moments, as Sarah sat there, that she realized just how deeply she had come to care for this dog. Bella wasn't just a stray animal to her anymore. She was a mother, a fighter, and a survivor. But the struggles didn't end there. Bella's healing was slow, and each setback felt like a crushing blow to Sarah. One night, Bella's heart rate spiked unexpectedly, and the staff rushed in to stabilize her. Sarah's chest tightened, the panic setting in. "Please, Bella," she whispered through gritted teeth. "You've come so far. Don't give up now." It was a daily battle, but each small victory felt like a triumph. The puppies were growing stronger, and Bella's condition was improving, albeit slowly. With every small sign of progress, Sarah's hope grew, but so did her fear. What if Bella didn't make it? What if she didn't pull through? The connection between them had deepened beyond words. Bella had become more than just a dog to Sarah. She was a symbol of resilience, of love, of the will to survive against all odds. And every time Sarah looked into Bella's eyes, she saw the same thing: determination. Bella was fighting for her puppies, but also for herself, and for the family she had unknowingly found in Sarah. As the days went by, the stakes only grew higher. The journey ahead was filled with uncertainty, and Sarah wasn't sure if she was ready for the challenges still to come. But one thing was certain: she wouldn't stop fighting for Bella and her puppies. They had already come so far, and Sarah wasn't about to let them give up now. It was a cold, crisp morning when Sarah received the call. She had just finished her shift at work, her hands still shaking from the long hours, when her phone buzzed. The shelter's number flashed on the screen. Her heart skipped a beat, fear gripping her chest. Had something happened to Bella? "Hello, Sarah." The voice on the other end was calm, but Sarah could sense the urgency. "It's Bella, isn't it? What's happening to her?" Sarah's voice trembled with anticipation. "We've had some improvement," the shelter worker replied cautiously. "But, Sarah, she's awake. Bella is awake." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. For so long, she had been holding on to hope, but now, to hear those words, to know that Bella had fought her way back, made her heart swell with overwhelming emotion. Without wasting another second, Sarah rushed to the shelter. Her mind raced as she drove, the distance between her and Bella feeling like an eternity. Her palms were slick with sweat, her thoughts a whirlwind of emotions. Would Bella recognize her? Would she be able to stand? Would the puppies be okay? As Sarah burst through the doors of the shelter, her eyes immediately found Bella's cage. There, lying on the soft bedding, was Bella, her fur still matted, her body frail, but her eyes were alive, filled with recognition and gratitude. Bella's tail gave the faintest wag, the motion so small, yet it was enough to make Sarah's knees buckle in relief. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes as she knelt beside her. Bella lifted her head, her body trembling from exhaustion, but her eyes locked onto Sarah's with unwavering love. Without a word, Sarah reached out, gently stroking the dog's head, whispering, "You made it, Bella. You did it. I knew you would." Bella gave a soft, almost imperceptible whine, as if to say, "Thank you." In that moment, Sarah felt as though her own heart had been healed. All the sleepless nights, the fear, the uncertainty, it had all led to this. Bella wasn't just surviving, she was thriving, and in the most profound way, she had pulled Sarah into her journey, showing her the true meaning of resilience and love. Then, Sarah glanced down at the puppies, who had begun to stir, their little faces nuzzling into Bella's side. The sight of them, the tiny bundles of life, growing stronger with every passing day, was a testament to the bond they shared. Sarah smiled, her heart full to the brim. She had witnessed the miracle of life, of love, and of survival. In that moment, everything changed. The fear, the uncertainty, the doubts, all of it melted away. Bella had not only survived, she had triumphed. And with her triumph, Sarah had found a new sense of purpose, a new chapter of her life that would forever be shaped by this incredible bond they had formed. Bella, the dog who had been abandoned, had found her place in Sarah's heart. And now, nothing could break that bond. As the days passed, Bella's health continued to improve, and so did the bond between her and Sarah. Bella, once frail and broken, was now walking with more confidence, her tail wagging at the sight of Sarah. The puppies, too, were thriving, their playful energy filling the room, a constant reminder of the resilience that ran through their tiny bodies. Sarah had learned so much over these weeks. She had discovered a strength within herself she never knew existed. The fear, the uncertainty, the countless nights spent wondering if Bella would survive, it had all led to this beautiful moment of healing. Bella was no longer just a rescue. She had become a part of Sarah's heart, her family. And the puppies, those tiny creatures who had clung to life with all their might, had transformed into healthy, playful balls of joy. Sarah's life had changed. Her priorities had shifted. She had learned that love and patience were the keys to overcoming even the toughest challenges. Watching Bella and her puppies grow stronger every day had reinforced her belief in second chances, not only for animals, but for herself as well. As Sarah sat on the couch, Bella curled up beside her, and the puppies tumbling over each other at her feet, she realized that this journey had given her more than she could have ever expected. It wasn't just about saving a dog or her puppies. It was about finding hope in the darkest of times and understanding the true meaning of unconditional love. The family they had formed was a testament to that love, and it was a family Sarah would cherish forever. In the end, Bella's survival wasn't just a miracle. It was a reminder of the incredible power of resilience and love. Sarah had learned that, no matter how broken life may seem, second chances are always possible. Bella and her puppies had found a new life, a second chance at happiness, all because of the kindness and care they received. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share more heartwarming stories like Bella's. Let's spread love and hope together, because every animal deserves a second chance.